19, she came to us and she said, Mom, Dad, Cody and I are getting married. And we said, no, you are not. We are sending you to college and we are paying for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, we looked into how much college costs at the time and we were like, when do you want to go to Justice of the Peace?
We are Moms Unhinged, a nationally touring stand-up comedy show. Join us in our podcast as we explore everything from motherhood, midlife crisis, marriage, divorce, online dating, menopause, and other things that irritate us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moms Unhinged, the podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Marie. I am joined today by the wonderful Patricia Forehand, who is an Atlanta-based comedian and has started comedy in her 50s after being a teacher was it teacher for your whole life or?
Yes, 31 years.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. You probably get a lot of good comedy from that, I would guess.
I do. In fact, I do comedy for schools and school systems, to talk about education, the funny side of it. So, yes, I do. And I bring it on stage at clubs and things sometimes, especially the things about kids.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so you have a lot of kid material. And you're a mom. So,
yes, I am.
Yes. And how many children do you have?
I have two.
Okay.
They're both grown-ups. I'm 64. So, I have a son who lives in North Carolina and a daughter who lives in El Paso, Texas, and a granddaughter. I'm a grandmother.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so fun. That's so fun. That's great. Well, what prompted you to get started with comedy? What, you're just doing your teaching. What like got you into it?
Before I left teaching, I was diagnosed with an AVM, which is, it's a malformation in the brain. And it can cause things to happen if it bleeds or bursts, things like that. It's inoperable because of where it's located. So anyway, I thought, how am I going to spend the rest of my life? It kind of gave me permission to do something wild that I always wanted to do, and as a child, I always wanted to do comedy. I mean, I was fans of Lucille Ball and Gilda Radner was my favorite, Carol Burnett, I think, people like that, Phyllis Diller. I enjoyed comedy. I remember in the classroom, I would always tell the kids, live your passion, do what you want to do, work hard to achieve it, but do what you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. And here I was not living that dream. So I decided, hey, after I retired, I was an empty nester. My husband was still working and still is. So, I wanted to go and do something fun and decided to sign up for an open mic. And
Right.
Loved it. It was just an amazing experience at Laughing Skull. And, I just decided this is what I want to do, this is part of my life. So went back and took a ton of classes, Lace Larrabee, Marshall Childs, did a lot of open mics and then just started getting booked. So
that's awesome.
Fun.
So you did an open mic without having any class. You just wrote your set, wrote your jokes, and went up and did it.
I did.
Yeah.
I kind of Googled everything I could about, comedy and sets and things like that. And I wrote jokes and got on the stage. And the thing is, I did some of the jokes that I had, but I really kind of riffed off the girl that was before me because, she was very young and she was talking about a lot of dirty stuff. And so, I just went up there and made some jokes about, oh my gosh, is that what my daughter's doing? And it was, so a lot of it was spur of the moment, but then I also brought my jokes and they kind of tied in really well together and it worked. And luckily, half the audience, they were my friends that I brought with me. So I had a
Oh
good
man,
response.
that's really brave to bring all your friends the very first time you do comedy. I was so
Yeah.
that's scary. That's awesome. Well,
It was
good.
funny because I had like a lot of the, guy friends and stuff were like, here, let me tell you a joke you can use. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, joke.
I know. It's funny when people, why don't you get up and tell that joke? All right. I'm
Right,
not using that. Yeah.
sign up for the open mic yourself.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, they were real supportive. But what made me feel good is that the host after the show came up to me and said, that was great. You need to do this. And
Uh,
I was going to do it as a one-offer, just
right.
one time and done with
Yeah.
it. But it was such a positive
Yeah.
experience and so much fun that, I just couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely it does hook you like pretty quickly if if you have a good time you get definitely hooked because it's pretty fun. So,
It
yeah,
is.
that's awesome. And so interesting that it was kind of a health challenge that sparked
Yeah.
that desire to go and do something riskier or or just a little scarier or something like that. So, that's a kind of blessing of that health challenge. So,
It is. I mean, when you find out something like that, because, an AVM, you could have that and never have any issues with it. Or, it could burst and you could die. So, when he told me the diagnosis, it really does make you think you're facing your mortality and you're realizing,
right,
you don't have an ending time. And
right.
so if there's something that you want to do, you better get it done while you can.
Yeah.
And I mean, it gives you permission almost. It's almost like
Hmm.
somebody saying, okay, now, what did you always want to do? Go do it now. Now's the time.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so,
Right.
yeah.
And it's interesting because that's the case for anyone. I mean, I have a joke like we could get hit by a bus tomorrow or whatever, like but I mean, but we don't it's not always quite as present or in the forefront for us or it's not doesn't feel as urgent. And so it's nice to have a little urgency around it and it helps to say, wow, I may not have as much time left as I think. And that's true for everybody, really.
Yes, I mean, I agree with you. I think everyone should, go out and do what they want to do. Because
Right.
for anyone, like you said, you don't know what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a diagnosis to go out and do things that you really want to do. I
Yeah.
mean, we're here on this earth for such a short time. Even if you
Really.
live to 100, it's a short time.
It is so
And
short.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we always put off, we'll go, oh, we're going to do this first, and later we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Later, I'll do what I always wanted to
Y-
do. And you
Yeah.
may not have later. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And so I think everyone should even try, like, if you have had this inkling to try comedy, that is I meet a lot of people who say that. They're like, oh, I've always wanted to try comedy. And, it's easy to try. It's easy and hard. There's lots of open mic opportunities where you can get up and, and do something just even for a short time. But I do remember the first time I did comedy, my brain blanked out. I couldn't think of a single thing. I was like, I don't think I'm funny at all. I don't know anything.
Yeah. Well, it is. I think the reason that I was able to do it is because I was very much into theater
Oh,
in high
yeah.
school and college. And so I was on the stage a lot
Yeah.
doing plays. And so I was used to the audience thing.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
I imagine teaching also. You're used to
yeah,
getting up and talking in front of people and things like that. So, yeah,
yeah, you have a
that is
really
awesome.
hard audience when you're
Yeah,
teaching your
that's the
8-year-olds.
biggest. You're up there bombing all day long.
That is so true. Yeah.
Don't have to worry about it. Um, And you also, kind of a fun thing is you were featured in a Washington Post article.
I
So,
was.
yeah.
That was really due to Lace Larrabee
Uh-huh.
because I was taking her class at the time, and the
Yeah.
Washington Post was writing an article again on people doing something completely different in what they called their second acts.
Yeah.
So they asked Lace if she knew an old lady. That was funny that
An
they called
old lady at 50, whatever. I know.
I was
Oh
55.
God. I know,
So
right?
yeah, so she gave them my name and they interviewed me and did a feature. That
Yeah.
was so exciting. It was absolutely
Yeah.
wonderful. But I've
Yeah.
been kind of like lucky in that way because then like Tamron Hall show saw that article and I was able to get on Tamron Hall, and then Today Show saw that article and I was able to get on the Today Show. And it's
Wow.
all because it's people are my age are,
Yeah.
no longer just sitting in the house and watching TV or whatever. They're out
Right.
there doing exciting things. And so
Yeah.
the incredible part is the people that I have met in all of these adventures, I call them. They're
Uh-huh.
all, just exciting people that have. I mean, I met this one wonderful lady who went back and now she's an author and she's written like 13 thrillers,
Oh my
and
gosh.
and she is McGarvey Black. She is amazing. She is just, and she like called me on the phone and I'm like, I'm being called by this lady. But she is amazing.
Uh-huh.
And it's incredible to think that, no longer are women our age invisible.
Yeah.
We are out there and we are leading and we are,
Hmm.
in the front lines doing stuff. We're not
Yeah.
dead yet. We're still working it. So, I
I know.
mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, and it is so important to realize we have a short time on this earth, but we still can have a long time to do something. I mean, you can have like 30, you start something midlife, you can have 30 years of doing that successfully, and you can do comedy into your 80s or what I knew one woman who was 90 doing it. Like it's just
Right.
wild that, you yeah, so just always
Yeah.
it's always important to be like, let's just get started. Just do it. Just take
Hmm.
the first step. So that's great. That's great.
That,
And
that,
and
I'm
then
sorry.
also, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Shawshank Redemption movie that my husband makes me watch like 30 times a year.
Yeah.
Where he says, get busy living or get busy dying. I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly take that to heart.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so
That
good.
30
Yeah.
minutes that you're sitting there writing a TV show, you could be writing two chapters to a novel, or you could
Right.
be, running a marathon, at
Right.
least part of it, or you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
can fill it up with the stuff you want to do. So,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So it's such a good lesson. And then kind of a fun thing is you're getting featured on a documentary too. So that's amazing.
yes, that's another, this wonderful man, Carl Landau. He
Yeah.
has a podcast, Pickleball,
Hmm.
and he has Pickleball Media. But his podcast it's not just about pickleball. He also wrote a book about that,
Hmm.
Pickleball for Idiots, with his wonderful wife. But it's really about this whole thing we're talking about. Like
Yeah.
when you reach that midlife, you're not done. Go back
Yeah.
and do stuff. And so he
Yeah.
also interviews, people that are over 50 and have done all these incredible things with their life,
Hmm.
after 50. It's like some of
Yeah.
them, the first part of their life might have been slow or whatever. And then boom, it's like they're living the life the second
Yeah.
part. So
Yeah.
it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And so he has interviewed so many people that have these fantastic life stories.
Yeah.
And he is now one of the people that he had on his podcast was actually a filmmaker, and she makes these incredible documentaries. So she kind of helped him to start filming a documentary about the people that he's met on his podcast, and the interesting lives, and he's filming three of us. He had to film three of us that actually do something that you could film, and so because I do stand up,
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
all these
definitely.
serious people that are going back and saving lives, and
Yeah, right,
and it's like,
right.
hey,
Not
let's
gonna.
go to this lady and
Yeah,
those
that's
jokes
fun.
about her husband.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's incredible. He's gonna come to film. I mean, I already went to California and they
Yeah.
filmed the interview, but now they're gonna film a set that I'm doing in Nashville. So
Oh, nice.
that'll be fun. That'll be
Oh,
fun.
that's great. That's so great. So great. What does your family and your kids think about you doing comedy?
Oh my goodness, they love it. My son used to live in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
So when I first started, it was so much fun because I would go and stay. I don't live in Atlanta. I live 2 hours south of Atlanta. So
Oh.
I do a lot of comedy in Atlanta, and I consider
Yeah.
it my base for
Yes.
comedy. But I used to be able to go there and do a show and then spend the night with him, and it was
Yeah.
so much fun. And he went to so many of my shows, and
Oh,
then he moved to North Carolina, so he
Yeah.
hasn't been able to attend any of the shows lately.
Yeah.
But my daughter, she should be a comedian. She is hilarious. Everything she says that comes out of that mouth is funny. And so she has really been a help in the journey because she will show me comedians, go, Mom, you got to listen to this one. You got to listen to that. I mean, she knew Lace Larrabee before I did. She was like, hey, there's this woman, you're going to love her. She is so hilarious. You've got to listen to her on YouTube. Da-da-da. And then I found out she was teaching a class, and I was like, that's my daughter's favorite comedian.
It's awesome.
So they've been very supportive. Very
Oh, that's great. That's great. Do you make jokes about your husband?
Oh, a lot of jokes about my husband, honey. We've been married for 41 years.
Yeah.
But we started dating when I was 16. So I have a lot of material. A lot of material.
But he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind that you share your.
No, he doesn't mind. I remember when, because I never say anything mean, marriage is funny. We got to admit, marriage is hilarious, especially when you have been together with someone for so long, But he doesn't mind. But I do remember, like, he went to all my first shows. And I remember it was like maybe the second show that I did. And I did this joke about him. I never tell him the jokes, unless I'm on stage. So I did this joke about him, and he was sitting on the front row, and he just laughed. And I remember that startled me so much that I froze for a minute, and I almost forgot the rest of my show. I was like, oh my gosh. I almost forgot the rest instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, he works now, and so I don't drag him to everything. If it's an important show, if it's something special, he'll go. But the man gets up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And he's a homebody too. So, he doesn't really like to go to clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but he's there when I need him. But, the fact is, a lot of times I'd rather him kind of stay home,
Yeah.
It just makes it easier. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's so fun. One thing I always like to ask everyone is for like an unhinged moment, unhinged story with either your own kids or your mom. So share with us something that didn't go quite right.
Okay, I will tell you, as I mentioned before, that I have been with my husband since I was 16.
Yeah.
And so, we've always told my daughter how we met and all this stuff. And, she really apparently was watching us. Who knew that we are role models to our kids? Much less that they listen to our stories.
Yeah.
But anyway, at 19, she came to us and she said, Mom, Dad, Cody and I are getting married. And we said, no, you are not. We are sending you to college and we are paying for it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we looked into how much college costs at the time, and we were like, when do you want to go to Justice of the Peace? No. But they have been married happily ever. So, and she did get her college too. She got married and good college. So,
yeah, good. That is a scary moment that like, I think about that too. I'm like, oh, don't, I don't know. And they feel so young. And it's funny, like when we were young, we felt like we knew everything. And
yeah. Well, the truth of the matter, not joking aside, is that if we had not, we did talk her into going to a semester of college, and she just kind of threw it away. She's so in love with this guy, and he was going in the Army. And so, anyway, if we had said no, you can't say no. They're adults, they were going to go anyway. So you might as well jump on board and just be ready to catch them if something happens. And luckily, it didn't. They were actually pretty happy and still are, and have that beautiful child that's my granddaughter. And, so it worked out. But I would not recommend it for everybody. I mean, it's like 1 in a million that it works out,
I know. It is wild. It is wild when people know. And I'm divorced, and I do think, I'm like, gosh, how do people know? Like, well, even like yourself, 40 years, that's a long time. And that's so wonderful that you are together that long. My joke is that I think it should be a lease to own program. We just should decide if you're going to renew. I just didn't renew.
Honestly, you go through periods.
Long
where you don't like them anymore. You're like, but then if you stick it out and you go, oh wow, there's that. Okay, all right, now I remember why I married him. So it's hard. We kind of knew it when we met. I don't know why. It wasn't. It was kind of. I know it sounds corny, but it was kind of instant. Like, I dated a little bit, but I was 16, so I was really not even stupid. But yeah, when I met him, I was like, I really like him. I mean, we just were like best friends, And we just shared a lot of the same thoughts and stuff, but yet we were opposites too in a lot of things, which made it fun. So. Just work out.
Yeah, that's so great. That's so great. How has your comedy evolved over the years since you started? Like, how has that changed?
Well, to begin with, I was real naughty. I mean, I did a lot of naughty comedy. In fact, when I went on Tamron Hall and I had to provide them with a set to use a piece of, for their show, it was hard for them to find one that was for daily watch.
Oh, right. This is what time of the day?
Yeah, it was a day show. So, it's a talk show during the day. You have to have that good. But they did find some. But I think at the time, when I started comedy, I was an empty nester. And, I was... I was like the preacher's kid that grows up and gets wild. That's how I was with comedy. But my wild thing was the comedy, because I had been so good for so many years and trying to be a role model for kids. And, so I think I cut loose is what I did.
Yeah,
so
right.
My comedy has evolved because, I have so much clean comedy now and fun family comedy and things like that. So, I've been rounding it out so that I have a little bit of everything. I think I'm more of a storyteller, too, now than I used to be.
And I think the interesting thing is that I was pretty, I grew up with a kind of religious background and, pretty straight-laced, whatever. And then I started going to open mics, and I'm like, oh man, I need to Google some of this. What is this? It's very, very dirty at some of these open mics. And so I kind of thought, and then I get up there with my pretty, clean set and people, in front of these 20-year-old dudes and like, but I do think that it's nice to be able to do a range of comedy because there's different types that appeal to different people, and some people really like the pushing those edges and the boundaries and getting a little crazy. Other, we at Moms Unhinged we talk about doing clean-ish comedy where we, there's some sexual content, but we've gotten feedback sometimes that they're like, "Oh, that set was so dirty," and I was like, were you watching the same comedy I was? Maybe we said something about sex, but it's just it is funny how people have different tolerances. So it's nice to be able to do a range.
That's true. I think it's so important to have, so much material that when you're reading that audience that you are able to switch it up if you need to.
Yeah.
You have to see what's landing and what kind of audience you have. And I think the best arsenal, I guess that's the correct word, arsenal, that we could have in our pocket is, enough of a range of jokes that you can bring your things in, whatever's necessary.
Right.
So
right, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how has taking classes helped you? Do you still take classes from time to time, or was that more in the beginning?
Not really as much because I feel like, actually doing shows and being on stage is the biggest learning tool now.
Yeah.
But they were definitely necessary at the beginning because I think it just, for everything, even the technical parts of it, the skill parts of it, how to tell a joke, how to set it up, how to, I think it's important. And two, it gave me the confidence because both Marshall Childs and Lace Larrabee were amazing at the type of critique that they did and encouraging, all of their students to get out there on the stage and not to be afraid. And it was okay for us to say things and it not be funny,
Yeah.
It was all right. That's a part of it. And I think that's what all comics need to know is that, bombing is a part of it. That's where you learn the most. You go, oh, okay, what did I do? And how can I make that better? So I think they were vital to me anyway, to let me know that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Funny. So.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is super helpful, and it just forces you to, and it is nice. You need that feedback, and it's nice to have that confidence too, because it's a scary thing. Like, you just, getting up there and worrying that you don't have any good jokes, but that you've got, some things that you've gotten a little help with or whatever at that time. So it's good for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
So. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, most of the comics that I know did take classes of some sort, at least one.
Yeah,
I took 3. I took 2 with Lace and then 1 with Marshall. Marshall Childs was the first one. And Ian A. Bear, I always say his name so wrong, but, he helped Marshall Childs in his class. He was kind of like, I guess, the teacher assistant. And so they were all just wonderful. I think that awesome. They gave me confidence. And it was nice, because it was like I was so quiet and, so reserved. And my sister would always say, Patty, loosen up and have fun. And I don't know. When you're a teacher, everything you do is scrutinized.
Yeah.
Even off hours, after hours. I remember one time I saw one of my teachers at a strip club when I was like 19, and I was like, what is that? What? She's a teacher. What? Back then, when you were 19, you could go to a bar, and I went to a bar, something.
Was she performing or was she?
No.
Oh.
It was a male review.
Oh,
and,
gosh.
So my friend taught me that, come on, let's go. So we are 19-year-olds, and and it was my teacher, and I was like, I couldn't even, which I don't care. I didn't really want to concentrate on the show anyway.
Yeah.
But, I couldn't have because I was too busy thinking, ooh, that's, so that's kind of how I felt about being an educator, that you have to be pristine.
Yeah.
So my sister used to say, that doesn't mean you can't have fun. You can have a drink after hours and
Yeah,
things like that. And I was like,
exactly.
no.
Have you seen any of your students at your shows?
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, I have. It is hilarious. I had one who came up to me after a show, and I didn't know they were my student because like all my students are
Take a
adults
lot.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he was hilarious. He said Miss Forehand, Miss Forehand. So funny.
Hilarious.
So, yeah, but I've had quite a few reach out to me, on Instagram or things like that, and
Yeah.
they've seen my YouTube or whatever, that kind of thing. So
That's fun.
but they're all supportive. They're like, yeah, because in the classroom I was funny anyway because I tried to make education fun. You don't want you have to sit somewhere for 8 hours. You want it to be at least enjoyable. So I was silly, we break out in songs and do silly things anyway. So I don't think and I was a drama coach there. So we did drama play. So I don't think it was too far a stretch for them to think that one day I would do something on a stage for fun,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Well, Patricia, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it. And why don't you let people know where they can find you? We'll have these links in the show notes.
Okay. I am on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And it's either Patricia Forehand or Forehand Patricia. And then on TikTok, I think it's P Forehand Comedy. So you can find me in all those places. I do a little bit on YouTube too. I don't have a show or anything, but I post partial sets or whatever, mainly so I can send them to festivals.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I did have a podcast called Badass Boomer Babe, and I think it's still out there, but I haven't done it for quite a while. So, but yeah, that's where you can find me. So.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we'll put those links in there and the link to your article and everything like that. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, and it was amazing meeting you. You are a wonderful woman, and you have done just amazing things for comedy for women. So, and for moms.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe, share, and follow us on the socials to get more comedy clips.